Well, hello there. My name is Bill Livesey, and I'm applying for the Worldwide Azure Readiness Lead. I thought I'd take a few minutes to give you a little bit more background about me. This is my family. They are the most important thing to me. Jenny and I are celebrating 30 years together this spring. We have 3 boys. Andrew is 28, Maddie is 20, Quentin is 16. We have a lot of shared loves: camping, hiking, being outdoors, and sports. I'm going to give you a little bit of history, but stick with me on this one because it comes back around later. So my granddad was a West Virginia mountain man. He drove logging trucks down mountains before there were even roads. He and his brother later became engineers and inventors. My grandfather held over 50 international patents. My Uncle French built the J-33 and J-35 jet engines, which powered military aircraft like the Bell X-5. Granddad was asked to join the Manhattan Project, but my Grammy said no because she didn't want to live in the housing that the government was building around Oak Ridge, Tennessee. My mom was a West Michigan Dutch school teacher, and Dad was born here in Indy. They met while Dad was in the Army at Fort Knox during Vietnam, guarding the gold. Married for 55 years after courting for only 3 months. Not bad. Pop wanted to build sailboats after he got out of the Army, but Mom said he had to get a real job. So, like his dad, he had a pretty amazing natural aptitude for technology. I grew up around computers. Dad worked for a company that developed thermoset plastics that essentially hold most of the industrial world together. Much to Dad's chagrin, I took everything apart when I was a kid. I had to know what made it work. Right after high school, I was a bank teller, I worked at a bowling alley, and I was a janitor. I got my first full-time job on an assembly line. For fun, I started drawing out the efficiency of the production line and making these hand-drawn charts. The floor supervisor noticed, and he introduced me to a lady named Catherine who was building a department dedicated to quality engineering methods. The next thing you know, I'm a quality engineering technician. One of the first things I did was put in a Novell NetWare and Token Ring computer system to support that department. That is about the time that I met Jenny, who also worked in the engineering department as a mechanical engineer. Our company did a lot of intramural sports. We were paired in mixed doubles tennis one summer, and that was all it took. I knew I was going to marry her. So how did I get to Microsoft? Well, after being in the engineering department, I worked on an AI development project. And that is where I started learning about this new thing called Microsoft Back Office. The local Microsoft team noticed, and they sent my resume to Microsoft Recruiting. I interviewed with MCS in Southern California, and I was offered a job. By this time, Jenny and I had Andrew, so it was a tough decision. However, it was the right decision, and California was amazing. With MCS, I got to travel the world and work anywhere, but my favorites were definitely working at home with the Hollywood studios. Around the early 2000s, we had our second child. By the mid-2000s, we knew it was time to give California up. I took a leave from Microsoft for about 6 months, and we moved back across the country. When I came back, it was with our retail and hospitality group, where I did things like engagement manager and strategy consultant. Then baby boy 3 came along at the end of 2005. And that is when I moved over to field sales. I joined our state and local team as a TS. This was very different from MCS. We were out of IT and we were working with agencies on business solutions. I did that for a few years. And my next move was into field sales, where I entered a specialist role. I was a 3-cloud specialist in the ATU, and I did that role for 5 years. Then I got to Azure full-time. With my background in MCS and all that time in SLG focusing on solutions, Azure was something that I was passionate about. I was ready to try something new from SLG. I started a dialogue with some folks in federal, and then the 2017 reorg happened. I woke up a TS for the US Department of Energy. This was full circle to my granddad because I was working with the Manhattan project sites, including this place in Oak Ridge where my grandma had refused to move so many years earlier. With the Department of Energy, I met Dr. Nate Evans and Amanda Joyce. They were building a cyber workforce development program, and a big part of that was a red team, blue team exercise. The whole thing was hosted on a bunch of VMs inside their labs. And Dr. Evans also had a dream of making it more energetic. So I made some connections to gaming and I introduced the idea of live streaming a la Twitch. And in 2019, Kate Johnson created a contest for the field, which was to tell your best commercial Vanguard story in 100 words or less. I couldn't help but write about the Cyberforce competition, and believe it or not, I won. I got the pleasure of having Amy Hood pick us up in her minivan for lunch at Burgermaster. It was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I loved Federal, but I also wanted to get back to that SSP role again. So in 2019, I moved to HLS as an Azure specialist. Eli Lilly was my big assignment. I spent 9 months responding to and winning a competitive RFP against AWS and GCP. This is something that we really wanted to win for the pharma space, but honestly, we were an underdog and not really thought to win. Jackie Ozier asked me to share this win story with my peers through a worldwide community meeting. That was a great experience. And for a while, I started working with Candice Ling on the notion of creating a technology office at the USRI level under Tony Towns-Whitley. To round out my experience across USRI, I joined FSI at the beginning of 2021. Then everything changed again. We reorganized. We made Federal its own subsidiary. Tony left. FSI moved back to Enterprise Commercial. In the meantime, all my experiences were paying off in different ways. People like Atosa asked me to help her with her field playbook. Then I was asked to help with some learning events at Ready. And Jerry Smith asked me to help at LearnFest. That's when it dawned on me that this is what I really wanted to be. All these great coincidences remind me of just how much I love teaching and sharing with others. And that is how you ended up watching this video. Do you feel like you know me now? Well, did you also know YouTube has 2 billion users serving 1 billion hours of video every day, and Twitch has 140 million active streamers playing games online all the time. A recent LinkedIn survey showed that 94% of employees at companies would rather stay longer as long as the company really invested in opportunities for them to learn. And in that same survey, the millennials and the Gen Z workers said that not having the opportunity to learn would be the number one reason that they would leave their job. So learning is extremely important, and innovating in how we learn is also important. As a specialist, I can tell you, my experience, finding time to skill and train is very precious. I'm sure I know it is for everyone. Content has to be engaging. It has to be to the point. It's more important than ever for content to have a narrative, tell a story, give more insights, and create a closer relationship with the audience. You hear all the time that we're living in this world of information overload, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we should just disregard content. We need to be selective in what we choose, and also we need to be selective in what we choose to generate and how we share it with others. I hope this was a good use of your time in getting to know me a little better. I would very much like to be Microsoft's next worldwide Azure readiness lead. Thank you.